Vikings drop another one.
Doomsday.
Unhappy non-victory Monday Vikings. Just kidding. It's Monday. Mondays suck no matter what, but it sucks a little bit. Sucks a little bit more when the Vikings aren't able to pull it off. But yeah, it was an ugly one at the end of it. I mean, the fact that this team even had a lead with under a minute left to go at the end of the game is an absolute amazement. Defense kept it in as long as they could. Offense, I mean, we'll talk about the myriad of reasons why this game went the way it did. We'll talk about the quarterback a ton. So we'll just initial thoughts wise, it was a game that we did not deserve to win. Somehow we were able to be there, and too many mistakes is the reason we didn't win this game. So frustrating. It's just an overall frustrating game.
Yeah. To say the least. And this is definitely one that we'll get into in a second here with JJ McCarthy specifically, because I would obviously put the most on him. But just in general, just this offense, just not clicking. The run game was doing good, all those kinds of things. But even just not just on JJ McCarthy, but even in the pass game with the drop passes and things. So that wasn't great. Overall, I think Kevin O'Connell, in my opinion, called a good game. I mean, JJ McCarthy missed like 5 wide open people and 5 players dropped passes. So that's 10 plays right there that Kevin O'Connell dialed up by itself that just need to be executed better. Defense is not great against the run again, but overall, doing their best to keep the Vikings in this game. And like you said, overall, it was a game that we probably shouldn't have won, but probably should have. Went down to the special teams thing. JJ McCarthy does step up when it really matters, scores a touchdown, puts us up by 1. Bad kick on special teams, or not bad kick, but just a good return on special teams. Obviously, the argument is whether or not we should have kicked it out of bounds or not, or kicked it in the back of the end zone or not, which probably, I mean, it's easy to say that now because that's 35 yards. Like most people would be like, you're really just going to give him 35 yards? Though it wasn't the best kick because he probably got it at like the 10-yard line or something, right? I don't even know. It was just a weird spot, but really unfortunate that, we had an opportunity. The worst thing is you always want your defense, it's always good to go out there and want your defense to be the one to either stop the game or stop it or not stop it or whatever. Sometimes you don't want to have to rely on defense. I don't know. But the worst case scenario is relying on special teams. Like that's what you don't want. You don't want it to come down to your special teams fucking something up.
Yeah, and when you go back and watch it, I mean, Kevin O'Connell talked about his press conference today. I mean, he didn't say hero ball, but it was kind of hero ball. Like there was 2 or 3 players who just wanted to make a play, end the game, and just lost their lane assignments on the kick return. You're going up against Devin Duvernay, who's been a solid kick returner his entire career. Yeah. And that's how you end up with a 56-yard return. You allow on 3rd down, a 7-yard rush, which would have made like a 55 or so yarder.
Yeah.
Just way too many miscues, and especially in scenarios where you just can't have miscues, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's an overall frustrating game. And I see a lot of people still talking about the run game. I mean, 22 times. You probably could have ran it more. I don't think the lack of running the ball was the problem. I mean, there was...
Well, you were down, so... Right, yeah. You were down. You had to...
Yeah. Well, then the last drive, of course, you're in the 2-minute situation. You can't just, you're not running the ball in those scenarios. So I don't know. I don't blame it on because the run game set up the pass game. McCarthy was in the pocket with time to throw. The one time he was pressured, he did throw an interception, but I felt like the game plan was good. It's just the execution was poor. I mean, McCarthy missed throws, receivers drop throws. I mean, that's this thing about it. That's if you convert half of those, that's 5 more completions, which makes that 21-32 for probably 200 some yards and maybe another touchdown there. Looks a lot better than what you have with his stats right now. So look, I understand it's the hot thing to blame it on O'Connell not running the ball enough. That's not the case in this game whatsoever. The case in this game was the pass game did not execute. The run game put you in situations where you could do play action and drop back passing, and the players did not execute the game plan. I'm not going to sit here just because the complaining about the run is the easy thing to do. I don't blame it there.
I'm going to push back a little bit here though, because I would say the different, and we talked about this before coming on here. There is a difference between Kevin O'Connell calling plays for a struggling quarterback compared to just a non-struggling quarterback, I would say. So it's just like his play calls, even though you can argue, like, I think Kevin O'Connell called a good game, but did he call a good game to put JJ McCarthy in that situation for himself? Because you could argue that if JJ McCarthy is missing all those throws and everything's not going good, you know, at what point does it, like, when should you just turn this into a Michigan's offense and you're running the ball pretty much every time? Like, pretty much what you saw coming out of the second half when we first got the ball back, I believe, and then we were like running all the way down the field on that one. You could have argued that we should have just continued doing that throughout the rest of the game, and yeah, we would have probably lost anyways, because it is tough to just go out and win when you're behind running the ball. And that's where I was like, you could argue like you might just be better off running instead of passing. The problem with that is if you win that decision, JJ McCarthy doesn't help us get down to the field to put us in head. So you do have to be careful with that as well. And I do like what JD says here too, is like McCarthy at this point, he does need the reps, though. He needs, you know, you need to put him in the best position to make sure those are as good of a reps as he can get. Cause you don't want to lose his confidence. And obviously I'm not a coach. I don't know the balance of how all of that should work.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think blaming this game on not running the ball enough just isn't right. In my mind, it's just not. That's just not accurate to me. I might be wrong.
No. I think they did. They were behind in the second half, so you're going to see less running at that point.
Right, for sure. And the offense was picking up yardage, and there was plays to be had out there. And again, the players just completely missed them, and that's something you can talk about. And yes, I mean, look, so if you're going to be like, when McCarthy played well, we were positive. When O'Connell coaches well, we're positive. You do got to. I mean, we're going to be real here. We got to point out the negatives. And this was the worst game that we've seen from JJ McCarthy so far. And I think you said it yesterday on Bleacher Report that like you'd like to see progression. This game felt like there was regression, and it's just. I mean, you don't see. I mean, McCarthy's bet has had accuracy issues, but like not to the extent that he did yesterday, right? And then when you want to talk about the way that O'Connell's calling the game, again, I don't blame this game on not running the ball enough. I think what it is like, look, at this point, you're 6 games in. Sure, it's still early in his development, but at this point, you kind of know how McCarthy wants to go out there and play the game. So if you're Kevin O'Connell, I think you got to put in more advantageous situations. I mean, we've been asking for quick passing game all year long. You got to do more of that. Even like, look, and you can't go up tempo all game long, but maybe you got to mix in a little bit of up tempo. Maybe you need to take a little bit off the plate. And I think that'll be huge when Kelly's back, because Ryan Kelly can kind of point out the protections. But maybe with McCarthy, like less checks to the line of scrimmage, send him up there with one play, couple reads, couple easy passes, easy options, just so he's not sitting in the pocket, dialing up these long progressing plays and having to sit and think about where he's going to throw the ball, which then when he has time, we've seen him want to push the ball and make those bad decisions. So that's where I think Kevin O'Connell, like, look, you're realizing you can't call this offense the way you call it for a Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, whatever. Like now you need to put your young quarterback in a better spot. And you do need to, I don't want to say dumb down the offense, but it kind of feels like dumbing down the offense a little bit. And that is a good thing. That is a true point about O'Connell. This is where he needs to show he can adapt to who he has in there at quarterback. Right. Like, again, I have his play calling has worked in the past. And even yesterday, like there was plays to be had. Run game was working. There was plays in the passing game to be had if it wasn't for drops and missed throws. So I don't know. It's just, I think you just, again, yes. And I'm like, you got to put him in more advantageous situations. And there's multiple ways to do that. But number one, I do feel like you just gotta almost kind of like dumb down the offense to an extent.
Yeah. And I'm going to go saying just like, I think you can put like a little bit of like training wheels on JJ McCarthy a little bit, because it feels like since he started, which I kind of respect, but it's like the training wheels were off since the beginning. The first half of the first game was kind of like that or whatever. Is kind of weird. And we always say, let JJ McCarthy play his game, which I do think I do like that. But at the same time, like it does seem like you have to dial it back. Like you do need to run the ball. You do need the up tempo thing, like you mentioned. I do think like you do need some more up tempo plays. And that's a hard part though. So with Kevin O'Connell, like as much as I am team Kevin O'Connell, he just, For some reason, he just does not like to go up tempo unless he has to. And even though literally every single time he has to, it works out for him perfectly every time. So I don't get why he doesn't do that more. So it's hard for me to believe that we're going to get what we want as far as like him going maybe. And like you said, like, hey, as for Kevin O'Connell, like he if you're going to play JJ McCarthy for the rest of the year, you need to make this offense work a little bit around him. And like you mentioned, like, yeah, you can't have these, like the long that we talk about, the long developing plays. People were open and things like that, but JJ McCarthy was just holding the ball for a bit too long. And I think that's the reason why there's so many, blocked or batted passes, as well as him just throwing right when he gets hit, which, I mean, we've seen like almost half of his interceptions now are like while he is being hit, which I don't really know exactly the reasons why, if it wasn't for Tom Brady calling like a couple of his games, because he's the one saying like, no, he should have already threw the ball. Like he didn't need to wait that long. And then he mentioned like, when you do get hit and you do throw an interceptions, you're going to be a little gun shy, and then you're just going to be even, a couple milliseconds longer. And that could just be the difference from everything. And right. You feel like up tempo play could help that. 1 second before jumping in here, I do want to make some comments. I want to call some people out. My cousin Garrett in the building. First one, let's go. So the Vikings in the building. Bleeding purple. I see you, dude. Skull me so down. No sculling up today, JD. What the heck? Delton, obviously, with the running stuff, which, again, I don't know. I don't think the run – it's hard for me to say because I literally have this card right here that I bought. Let's see if I can get it in here. JJ McCarthy, 10 out of 10, auto. I went and bought that. So I'm one of the last people who probably want to admit that JJ McCarthy's fault that he put us in a spot that we could have won that game. Technically, you could blame it on that special teams play. But overall, like, I have to admit, like, JJ McCarthy, it was a regression. It was a bad game. His play was the reason why we lost mostly in that one, in my opinion there. Right. Not the run game. The run game was going good. You could argue you could maybe ran a little bit more. I don't think we didn't run enough. I definitely wouldn't put it on there, put it on him or whatever. But let me keep going here. Dan, what up, dude? It was hard to watch. Why to run the ball on 3rd and 3? Why don't we run the ball on that one? I'm trying to think the play that we did that. Like, I felt like we
did it early on, and we got
there was a second. There was a 2nd and 3rd that we didn't. There was a 2nd and 3rd that we threw deep, and I feel like that's the one that people are thinking, in this one. But what up, Dan? What up? What else? Who I miss? I think I see my boy FT Maddie in the building. What's going on, FT? Let's get it two-tone. I see you. Bob Swede, they can't hold lead for 50 seconds. What the fuck? That's one thing. Is like, oh man, it's just this whole year we haven't just got that comfortable lead yet. But we've been playing tough teams too. But right. Yeah. Anyways, Casey, you can jump in.
But yeah, and I think, and I know Kevin Seifert, of course, asked the question after the game, and people, I guess, like there's people there, cheer, like wanting Brosmer. Like, look, none of that's going to happen this year. Like, no. and that's kind of where we're at with this season, and that's why I think it would be good on Kevin O'Connell to change things up a little bit. Because look. I understand he wants to have explosive plays, and you kind of have to, right? You can't just run the ball, throw short all the time. Because obviously you do want to, give him some downfield throws, so we build some confidence. But again, as he always talks about those, at the same time, the power of completions, right? And knowing that JJ McCarthy loves to chuck that ball down the field, right? That's why you got to give him those easy passes, build that confidence for the rest of this year. Because look, if he doesn't show marketable improvement by the end of the year, then the pressure is going to be on from ownership mainly to like, hey, like we have Justin Jefferson here. I don't think Justin Jefferson is going to be requesting a trade anytime soon. I really don't. But there is going to be that pressure. It's like, hey, we drafted this quarterback. He hasn't shown growth. We might need to go find a veteran at least for competition going into next season. So, I mean, to me now where we're at 4-6, 1-4 at home, the playoffs seem like a long shot. Like the rest of the season, as we talked about yesterday after the game, it does come down to just the development of JJ McCarthy. And what's going to be best for him going into next year to even have a chance to go into next year being the unquestioned starter is he's going to have to show development. So that's going to be the big thing. And that's, I think it was Maddie who said it earlier. It's like, you got it. Right here. Basically just going to be growing pains, get him through the season. Once it's done, when you do, it has to be done. And that's exactly it. So it comes down to Kevin O'Connell mainly, as well as JJ McCarthy, to get yourself just in a better spot. Show the fan base. I mean, the fan base booed him off the field, rightfully so. Like give the fan base something to cheer about. And a lot of that just comes down to putting him in more comfortable situations so he can build that confidence as he goes on here and eventually grow the offense with it. So, like, look, as we've said, big Kevin O'Connell guys here, but I do think it does come down to him to put McCarthy into better situations when passing the ball to make things work better. And again, yesterday, I mean, you can't. I can't fully put the blame on O'Connell's play calling because, again, but 4 missed throws and 5 to 6 drops. Like, those plays are there to be had. We just did not execute and hit those plays. So I don't know, tons of blame to go around. But at the end of the day, like, this team was in position to win this game, and it could have been, if it wasn't for the misses and the drops early on, this could have been that comfortable lead we were looking for. It
could have been, yeah.
So I don't know. It's just
which that comes down. That comes down to
it's a tough game, especially for people that have been so high on McCarthy and his development and O'Connell. Like, it's a tough game to sit here and look, we're not defending it completely because, I mean, we're putting blame on everybody that deserves blame, and it's just, I don't know. Yeah. Offensively, it was just it is and has been going back to last game, absolute
Mark, my guy. What's going on, dude?
So again, to me, it just comes down to O'Connell putting him in better situations. Does that mean running the football more? Probably, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But it also means kind of taking away some of the deep shots, some of the long developing plays, and just giving him confident layups, as they call them. But again, but when he does get those confident layups, it is up to JJ McCarthy to hit those throws, and he just hasn't shown
real, dude.
That he's able to do that. And another thing too, I think could come with like dumbing down the offense or just putting it more up tempo is just like McCarthy just playing. Like, one thing that he came into this league with was a ton of athleticism, and we're just not seeing him use that enough.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that does come down to him it might just be too much with everything you're having him do at the line of scrimmage and checking in and out of plays. Like, it might be a little too much on him. And just like I think he is, I wouldn't say, because I know I saw some people on Twitter saying he just looks lost out there. I don't think that's it, because it does like he's operating the huddle. He's getting up to the line of scrimmage. O'Connell credited him for calling out some protections yesterday. Like, you're seeing the confidence in the operation, but it's just when it comes to the plays, you feel like he's too tense. And you can tell with the way that he's throwing those 100-mile-an-hour heaters instead of touch when he needs it. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's almost like it's too much for him right now. And I think you do need to just dial things back a little bit and just let him go out and just play his game, play football like he used to do, and just let him use his athleticism. Which just, I don't know. It feels like he's overthinking things right now. And maybe that's because you're giving him too much to worry about up at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and just even off what Delton said here, this is because basically, like, and just to be positive about JJ McCarthy here, because I gave him the negative. I said it was a bad game. I said, I'll even say this, like, it does feel like, he's not as close as I wanted him to be or was hoping he was going to be from an accuracy standpoint. Though I would also argue that and be like, even all the winner mentality stuff that we heard from, it was one of those things where you're just like, oh, that's great, but like, that's great in college, even though I was like, yes, JJ's a winner and all those things. The fact that he's came out and actually plays his best football when it really counts and matters, that's something you can't teach. And that is something I actually wasn't expecting as much as he's been doing. But the accuracy thing's been the biggest problem, because from a positive standpoint, he's doing so many things. He's making the right reads a lot of the times. He's making like you said, I mean, he doesn't, like, I do not feel like he's overwhelmed, or he doesn't look super overwhelmed out there. It doesn't seem like that's the problem. Once he's throwing in interceptions and stuff, I do agree with, yeah, exactly. I do agree with Delton here. He throws harder because he's trying to catch up on a late. I do think he's making right reads, but his leads are coming in a little bit late.
Well, and this right here, again, this is chemistry, and this is why you can't just not let him throw the ball, because he needs to build that chemistry with his receivers first off. And then I guess a good thing with this is, and Brady mentioned it, the almost interception he threw where Addison had a step on his defender. And that just comes with building trust in your receivers and knowing, like, hey, here's where the play call is. Here's where Jordan Addison's supposed to be. So you got to throw it a click ahead. Where, like he said, I mean, held onto the ball too long, waited for him to get open. And once you wait for a receiver to get open on a deeper shot down the field, you're already too late. And that's why that ball was almost intercepted. We got lucky that defender dropped it. But that's a great example of him maybe just taking a little bit too long to get that ball to where it needs to go. but a lot of that does come with reps and chemistry with your receivers. So I don't know. It's because, again, the play was there to be had. Addison had the step. It's just he was late getting to that throw.
Yeah, he's late, and then again, when it comes to down to the late reads as well, that's when players are getting in his face, batting balls, hitting him while he throws, like all those kinds of things on top of that. But like so many other things, like it really, like in football, accuracy, if you're a quarterback in football, accuracy, it's probably the most important thing, physically. Overall, if winning championships, well, you still have to be accurate. Otherwise, you're going to have a tough time. So that's the hard part. It's just like the accuracy is the problem. But like the mentality seems there to me. The mentality, I feel like this doesn't seem too big for him, other than like there is a lot of things going on. I agree with you where I'm like, why? Like he didn't have one run this last game. First off, I don't know why Kevin O'Connell isn't calling like quarterback sneaks and things like that at all. Just because he has it, we've seen it work, and it just keeps the defense honest, as well as JJ McCarthy. Not even in college, it wasn't like he tucked the ball a lot in college and ran a ton. He was someone that always did want to throw more than trying to run. But he needs to use his legs. I do think he needs to do that. And his accuracy that's
the first drop or the second drop by Addison where he had him over the middle of the field. Like that's a perfectly thrown ball, right?
Right. And we've seen it in these 4 games. We've seen the accuracy. That's why I was surprised in this one that we saw such a regression, because he hasn't been very accurate so far this year. Obviously, we all know that. But this one was like unnormally accurate. Like he was like being more inaccurate when he is on the run and things like that, trying to throw and all those kinds of things. But like, as far as like, we've seen some really accurate passes from him as well. So that's the thing. That's why I'm like, I don't know. You got to think that there's something in him. I'm not like anybody else where I'm like, oh, this kid doesn't have it. At the end of the day, he does have 5 games. Yes, this last one from an accuracy standpoint was pretty terrible, and I'm just being honest with that. But you also have to be honest with yourself. For anybody in here who's been on this train, with whether you were on the JJ McCarthy train and you hopped off or whatever, it's like that last drive, like he had, just imagine you're a quarterback in the NFL and you have one of the worst fucking games that you can have accurately wise, other than Sam Darnold throwing 4 interceptions. But anyways, but imagine that whole game, you're getting booed multiple times. And then they need you to step up to go and put your team in the lead. And JJ McCarthy goes out there, fucking drops every throw. I know some people question his touchdown to Addison, whatever. I don't give a fuck. The fact that JJ McCarthy goes through boos, his 5th game ever, sucking ass, and he goes down there and scores when he needs to, is something fucking, that part is fucking special. Obviously, you need to be accurate too, but you can't, like, I don't know how you watch that and be like, this kid, there's 0 chance this kid has it at all. Right, you watch that and you be like, the whole game, you're ready to trash him and you're like, but then you see something like that and you're like, but he does that. That's like incredible for a youngest starting quarterback in the NFL, 5th game ever, being booed, all these kinds at home, there's a lot of those kinds of things.
And I think my just where we're at right now this season, my finality on JJ McCarthy right now is like, again, like you said, you see the reasons for optimism, right? You see a lot of the things people talked about, the pluses when he was coming in through the draft process. Like you see that winning mentality, you see all that type of stuff that's so positive, but you see the growing pains, right? And the growing pains, and obviously you're going to look at the negatives more than the positives, especially in a season where you're just not finding a way to win these type of to win these type of games. So like you see all the good things, and at this point, like, look, again, like I said, they're not benching him. They're not going to go. I know Purple Persuasion is like, obviously he's not ready. You're ruining his development. Like none of that shit. Like he's going to keep playing. He's going to keep starting. But this is where it does come down to him cleaning up those fundamentals, cleaning up the accuracy issues. And like O'Connell said, just like feet and eyes matching. This, like O'Connell said today, when his mechanics start to match up more consistently, you're going to see that accuracy go up. But speaking of Kevin O'Connell, then it is also on him to put him in better situations. And yes, that does mean probably running the football a little bit more, especially when it's working. And it also means, like I said, dialing back things on offense, giving him easy reads, while still just building that confidence of getting those completions, building that chemistry with your receivers. and then kind of building from there. So like this season, like the rest of the season is going to be huge for him going into, especially going into next season. Like I said, if he wants to remain unquestioned starter guy, then you have to show some development by the end of the year. Because if you don't, it's going to be a tumultuous offseason where you're going to be getting doubted a lot. They're probably going to bring in another quarterback to compete with you. So it's the rest of the season, like whether we make the playoffs or not is kind of besides the point right now.
Right.
For the future of this team, JJ McCarthy, and it can't just be week 18 when he shows that progression. Like we need to start seeing it as soon as next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like we need to start seeing things build up. Otherwise, the noise is only going to get louder. And he already mentioned last week he's listening to things. Like he's obviously, I would be lying if I said I didn't hear it. Like he hears the boos from the stadium. Like all this stuff you need to just compartmentalize and grow from. And it's going to be on him and O'Connell just to find those scenarios in which they can get better and just ease his development along a little bit here. And a big part of that is just completions. Like if he comes out next week and he throws for 190 yards, but he throws 65% completion, the fan base is going to be like, okay, we're seeing that progression happen.
Right.
And it's not a one-man job. It's everybody. It's O'Connell mainly. It's O'Connell, McCarthy mainly, but it's also these receivers helping him out when he actually hits you on throws where you're open. Like this offense just needs to be more consistent, and it's top down, but it starts with O'Connell and McCarthy.
Yeah. And exactly right. And like what you said, like this rest of the season, we've always said it's all about JJ McCarthy. The reality is, and I'll say it again and again and again, and for anybody that thinks Kevin O'Connell should be on the hot seat and Quasi should be on the hot seat, I personally do not think you're going to see it definitely not this year, but I think it's like there's a 3-year window in my opinion. Maybe it could possibly be next year, but in my opinion, there's this 3-year window, including it's always been about that 3-year window. I think everything has been based around that, which means that you need to see what you have in JJ McCarthy. You need to see progression in him, or you do have to bring in competition, or you do have that's an unfortunate thing because we aren't in a situation where we can give JJ McCarthy 2 years to get good. It's not really that. You can't, because
and the 1A reason for that is because you have a superstar receiver on your team who, look, whether people think he is, kind of tongue-in-cheek saying things in his press conferences, or people think that he's lying. I mean, what else is he going to say? This guy has been nothing but consistent from a personality standpoint. Like, he's showing frustration on the sidelines.
People say that shit all the time
when this type of stuff happens, right? Like, if people that want to call him a diva are completely off base. But he's also, he understands what's happening. But if he doesn't start seeing progression by next year, I could see him getting a little bit more frustrated than he is now, right? So that's a big reason why you can't wait 2-3 years. Like you have a stud receiver who wants to win. So
not even just him. Everybody wants to win. This whole roster is built around winning.
Wants to win. And that's something that Kevin O'Connell said. He's like, he's made of the right stuff. It's just he just needs to just pick it up, and it's a whole team thing. So,
but I do want to hit on what you said is like that's the good thing right now. And one thing is that the bar is set low as far as like having a higher completion percentage next week. But that is kind of the thing is like, I have seen so many good things from him outside of the accuracy thing. Like everything is pinpointed, and the late reads is very fair. Late reads,
which I think the two do go hand in hand.
They do, especially if things aren't going. And if you're throwing interceptions and stuff, the late reads is going to be part of it, whatever. Anyways, so that's a good thing. Like moving forward, it's kind of like you can go in each game, and that's like what you're specifically looking for. Can JJ McCarthy be more accurate this week? And that's kind of where it's just an easy benchmark as far as like the progression of JJ McCarthy for the rest of the year. And we do need to see him progress. Hopefully, it's still going to be ups and downs, whatever, but like you want to see just more progression than not in the accuracy column. And hopefully we do see that, because we don't want him to look like that at the end of the year.
And Gary, we'll talk about it later, but I would say better than above average.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say really good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say great yet, because he could have. We'll talk about him later. I just want to point out.
I know why.
I think he played pretty good.
But we can finish up this JJ McCarthy thing real quick here. But I just think overall, I don't know. You got to give this kid some time. Watch him. Hopefully he progresses, but at the end of the day, I'm like, he has that shit that you can't teach. For sure. He has that shit that Sam Darnold, like with everyone's even bringing Kirk Cousins up again. I'm like, Kirk Cousins was the same thing. It was like at the biggest moments in the biggest games, he would falter, or he'd have a bad game. With Sam Darnold, he can have 6 great games in a row, but hopefully maybe, things will change. But then he has his 4 interception games. Like, you don't see that. When you make playoffs, you don't get to have 4 bad games. You need 4 good games in a row if you want a chance to win a Super Bowl. And sure. I don't feel that from Kirk Cousins. I don't feel that from Sam Darnold. One other thing I wanted to say is one thing that no one's talking about is Caleb Williams kind of fucking sucked ass that game outside of getting out of our pressures and sacks and stuff. I mean, he had the same completion percent, exactly the same as JJ McCarthy, and he was missing throws all over the field too. And he's the number 1 overall pick, second year, played every single game last year, I think, or at least most of them. And nobody's really saying anything about him right now. And it's like, he's had the reps. JJ McCarthy's played 5 games. I'm like, they both have the same completion percentage. I would say JJ McCarthy's misses were probably worse, but so far every game, the last 2 games we played with against Caleb Williams, we've seen him just miss open guys downfield over and over and over again. Because he needs to progress too, but yeah, it's just like it's not just JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, and the O-line has been a major help. Like, I mean, like Gary said, they've still been getting some pressures, but they've been playing a lot better. Plus, now you might get Ryan Kelly back next week as well, which would be huge. So, but yeah, major kudos to the offensive line there. Yeah, I guess, I mean, we already kind of touched on the drop passes, but I think I saw somewhere, like, was it Will Reggett said today, like 6? Like 6
drop passes.
Like 6 what
Something
they consider to be drop passes, which is embarrassing. I mean, especially with the receivers that we have.
Yeah. Well, and I know some people I don't care. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, JJ McCarthy's throwing you fastballs. I don't give a fuck, dude. You're a wide receiver. I've never once, ever as a football fan, heard that the drop pass was on the quarterback's fault because he throws the ball too hard. Never. Yeah. This is the first time I've ever heard. I get it. And I think there's a little truth to, like, JJ McCarthy doesn't need to throw 100 miles per hour, like when it's 10 yards down the field or whatever. I get that, but come on, they're professional wide receivers. They can catch those. They can catch those balls. So I'm not putting that on. Those are on the receivers. So that's just an unfortunate offensive game overall from quarterback play as well as just the receivers bringing down those balls, and not even just receivers.
But the offense got us in a good spot, and then special teams unfortunately stepped in and ruined it for everybody. As you saw, Kevin O'Connell giving Matt Daniels the old business on the sidelines there after the big return. So look, I mean, special teams positives. Will Reichard continues to be an absolute stud. Whereas Darren, I know Darren will be happy about that one. Miles Price, outside of one game last week against Baltimore, I believe he will be the one to break that punt return streak. Almost did yesterday. Miles Price is an amazing returner. What a find by Kwesi in undrafted free agency. But when you want to look at the rest of it, though, penalties continue to kill long returns at unfortunate times, and then obviously allowing the big return. And I know Kevin O'Connell said today, he's like, our punt or our kick coverage had been one of our top strengths, especially on special teams. And he was basically hinting at, like, no, I wanted him to kick the ball in, but it's just discipline. And, like, especially in that moment where you're sending your special teams guys out on the field, you got to, lane integrity is so important, especially in one where they're going to try to get a big return because they need one. The Bears did at the end there. So it's just unfortunate timing for a lot of these special teams errors. And it's been an issue quite a bit this season.
I do have a question for you, actually. I'm going to hit on that, and I'm going to ask you a question. One thing, though, knowledge. I'd actually argue that he plays like Tim Tebow the first 3 quarters, and then he doesn't play like Tim Tebow in the 4th quarter so far this year. But yeah, overall, special teams, obviously, you lose this, like last week, the Miles Price's fumbles. This week, still every single week, the penalties. This week, obviously, it sucks that you didn't even get to see your defense go and finish the game for you. It was just the special teams kind of just buzzkilled it all. And then, but you still see Will Reichard, MVP of the Vikings this season, and then Miles Price just definitely bringing a different element that we have not seen specifically in the punt return game since Marcus Sherrill. So all of that's good. My question to you, and this kind of goes back a little bit to Kevin O'Connell, and just maybe, I don't know. I blame it. Not blame it, but I would say Kevin O'Connell. The end of the game, the last touchdown to win it, 54 seconds left. I know we were on there. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a run 100%. Instead, it's a pass, ends up being a touchdown. How do you think that was handled? What was your opinion on, do you think we should have ran the ball out as much as we could to not leave them any time?
I did. I mean, look, maybe, but when the opportunity is there to score, you take the opportunity, right? Like I don't necessarily know if Addison was the read on that play. Like I'm sure there was probably another place to go with the ball just to pick up some more yardage. But at the same time, like yeah, you can understand trying to burn more clock, but when you see an opportunity to score 7, you go score 7.
Right.
You know what
Especially
I mean?
with JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. So like, I understand, but and that's the thing. It's like you run the ball. What happens if you run the ball? You take a loss. I guess you could take a sack too on a pass play, but I don't know. I understand it. Like I was hoping that maybe we'd have tried to run more off, but
or even
again,
like one run.
The fact that you get the touchdown, you'll take that 10 times out of 10 because we've seen this team get an interception and get the ball down to the 5-yard line. And then we kick a field goal and can't punch it in from 5 yards out, right? We've seen not just with this current iteration of this team, but in the past 10 years, we've seen a lot of that happen. Where every time we get a big return down to the 5, we're like, well, here's a field goal,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't. I don't fault them for not trying to burn more clock because the opportunity was there. You took it. You get the points any way you can because the next play isn't guaranteed.
Yeah, I would only say I think my only gripe on that would be because I agree. I'm like, dude, you haven't scored a touchdown. Wait, what? Who did we have? We had Mason. Jordan Mason won. Yeah. So we had scored one touchdown. JJ McCarthy's been inaccurate, whatever. So it's kind of tough to be like, oh, so we expect him to run out the time as well as also score a touchdown. It's kind of hard to believe at that point in the game. So if there's an opportunity, you got just start with the touchdown. Secondly, go for the time thing. That's the only gripe I would have is just like it seemed like an obvious time to run like even once there because it was first in 15 or whatever. So I'm like, that's the only thing. I'm like, you could have easily just like ran once. Right. And who knows? Maybe you wouldn't have had an opportunity to score a touchdown after that. Who knows? You never know.
Exactly, for sure.
But still, though, you'd think you would have ran at least like on first down or whatever. I would say,
or make them burn their.
That's what it would have been.
They would have burned their timeouts by that point, hadn't they?
No, I think they had 2.
Did they still have a couple left?
Yeah,
but I guess worst case scenario, like JJ McCarthy went out there and won the game for his team. So if anything, hopefully that builds confidence going into next week. But I guess, talking a little bit more about the run game here. I mean, obviously major gripe of the Kevin O'Connell offense basically all season long.
And we'll get back to this. We can do this on the next one, Gary.
Because that's something I do.
A lot of those players.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about that for sure here. But yeah, I mean, we had 22 runs to the Bears 39. I get it. Like the hope is that, because DeAndre Swift had 21 carries. That's what the fan base wants, right? They want to see a game where we just continuously run the football, especially when it's working. And look, you might have to lean into that because Aaron Jones, since returning from his injury, has been an absolute stud. Again, I don't hate the game plan yesterday. I think Kevin O'Connell called a good game. But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about making McCarthy more comfortable. You might just have to lean into that running even just a little bit more than you did. I mean, 22 times is an upgrade from the time before. I think it was like the mid-teens. But yeah, I mean, especially when the run game's working like it is, I understand the fan base wanting to run more, especially when you see you're getting 5 yards a carry.
Right. And we need to do that. That's what I have Michigan offense out there, which I don't want JJ McCarthy to run. I think it's extremely important for him to throw the ball. Honestly, it really is. You just got to be smart with it. You can't just have him throw the ball and get 3 interceptions or whatever. But it is time where I said 20 attempts. Like I feel like we're at a time now where you should be seeing at least 25 attempts in a game. And that's even if you're losing. And which we were right around there, but at least because especially these last 2 games, like we were eating on the ground. And there were some times where I'm like, we could have just kept running and things like that. And obviously, going to the Michigan offense is, you're putting I called it instead of dumbing down the plays. I called it, kind of bring in some training wheels to JJ McCarthy and kind of bring in more runs, bring in more short throws and things like that.
Right. Basically just catering the offense to a skill set. Again, that is something that people like, even going back to Josh Dobbs, like that was one of the big complaints is like Kevin O'Connell doesn't cater the game plan to which quarterback he has in there. He wants he wants that quarterback to cater their play to his offense, which look, right now with the way McCarthy's playing right now, you just can't do that. And a big part of that, running the football more, I get that. And just putting him in just better situations. And that's, I mean, it's all just, and like, we're not asking him to rewrite the entire playbook, right? I mean, you're not going to do that, but it's just narrowing down the play selection based on the situations that you're in, especially when McCarthy's not throwing the ball all that well all day long. Like, yeah, you probably want to just take some of those long developing plays and opportunities for him to make those mistakes away until he develops a little bit better with the accuracy stuff. So I don't know. It's just frustrating. There's a million ways this offense could be better. And that's like I said, the rest of the year, it's on O'Connell and McCarthy to figure it out.
Yep. Which brings us to the other side of the ball, and that is defense. First off, I'm just going to be negative here. Again, for some reason, we just struggle against non-star running backs. So it's like, hey, we can stop the best running backs in the leagues, but we can't stop, the mid-tier running backs like DeAndre Swift. And obviously, who knows what the future looks like for what's his name?
Mungai.
Mungai.
Who only had 12 carries, 23 yards, and nothing.
Yeah, so nothing crazy. But Swift did a lot, and they were just, especially down the stretch, and ultimately, that last run that was 7 yards, that 7-8 yards or whatever. So again, negative wise, come to another game where we struggled against a run. So I'm going to continue building on my theory that it's based around a game plan because it makes no logical sense that you can stop the best ones and then not the ones that are like,
and especially like was it early third quarter where they were just running the ball all over us, and that's when their running game really started to kick in?
Yeah,
was it second half?
Yep.
Yeah, and we just and that's when Mungai scored that touchdown. Like, we just could not stop their ground game that drive, and it's frustrating. But I mean, there were positives, right? Like, look, very critical of Flores. I know all he loves to do is blitz, and he blitzed a ton yesterday.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, it worked. I mean, their passing game, you want to talk about how bad ours was. Theirs wasn't much better. Williams was missing throws, same completion, 16 of 32, no touchdowns or interceptions.
Right.
So I think Flores had a good game plan, and we got to Caleb Williams multiple times. He was able to get out and escape, and luckily that didn't hurt us. I was telling you, like, if we just keep letting him get out of the pocket, eventually he's going to hit one of those big plays. Didn't happen. Right. But I thought the defense played pretty phenomenal yesterday, all things considering, especially since I believe, what was the time of possession? Like 36 minutes, them 23 minutes. Right. That defense, after the first quarter, that defense is out there a lot.
Yeah.
So the fact they were able to kind of keep up with this offense for as long as they could, very impressed by that. And I guess a name I want to shout out too. I mean, as we talk about top three players, I mean, I guess you have them on their thing below us here.
Two of them for
Turner,
sure.
I think we might finally be seeing him turn the corner.
Two good games.
They want him to be more of a Van Ginkel type. So you had Van Ginkel out there with Dallas Turner on the other side. And it wasn't just the sack. That's what everyone's going to look at, knowing he's an edge rusher. The sack. He had an almost sack on Williams. He did have another sack there, but it's the other things that he's doing well. You saw him get a nice pressure on Caleb Williams at a point in this game. You saw there was a screen. Was it a screen or a slant or a short pass to the running back? It was mostly
short pass, the pass defense,
where he kind of he pushed off his block, was able to get back there, break it up, almost tipped it up for an interception.
Right, which
had another one where he got off his block to stop a run. Like, it's just, you're seeing that progression of him being not just a pass rusher, but an edge defender on this team. And I think we might finally be seeing that progression happen with Dallas Turner.
Yeah, it's interesting because same with him, man. I mean, it might be one of those things where you kind of put the training wheels back on him a little bit because, when we gave him the full, this game, he probably played quite a bit of snaps because Grenard wasn't out there. But like when Andrew Van Ginkel was out and he was like the number two guy besides Grenard, it seemed like Dallas Turner took a step back almost. And then he had a game where with what, like just a few snaps or something like that. The game when Andrew Van Ginkel came back, I don't know, but I think you're putting him in positions to win. I think in good positions because you're not making him go out there all the time. I do think that is kind of helping with his progression there, but no, it's really nice to see Dallas Turner come in here and look good, dude. And he had, the second highest PFF grade. And like you said, couple pressures. I mean, almost 2 sacks, so 1 sack for sure. Last week, arguably would have been one of the biggest plays that Dallas Turner has ever made against Lamar Jackson with his sack, but he ended up getting a penalty on it, which he definitely needs to be careful about those things. And then like that pass defense last year, we saw a pick from Dallas Turner. So that can be part of his game, and he's still really young. So hopefully we continue to see his progression too. And this is he's an example of the reason why, regardless of what position you are in, you have to be careful. You have to let guys progress. Don't write people off so early and things like that, because Dallas Turner needs time. He's young. He's raw.
Yeah. And he's a freak.
Hopefully we are seeing that from him. But
yeah, he's an absolute freak athlete, and they're letting him use that athleticism now, right? And you're seeing some development as it comes to like from pass rush moves as well. So
yeah, from their thing here, I think you guys are on it on that one. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless there's, I'm sure there's maybe a defensive starter. I don't even know, honestly.
I guess I was just looking it up. Hargrave, you could get rid of and just take like 50% dead or 50, and save.
He's been he's been at least he's made more impact plays than Jonathan Allen so far. But
that's true. But Jonathan Allen would be harder to cut him with the way the contract is structured. But I
So
guess you want to talk about that position that goes on to our next plus. Jalen Redmond just continues to show up for this team.
Dude, it's stud of the defensive player of the year for the Vikings so far. Not even a question in my mind. Well, him and Eric Wilson's doing a lot of good stuff. Andrew Van Ginkel, obviously, when he's on the field. I love that dude on the field. Blake Cashman's doing his thing on the field. But Jalen Redmond, though, definitely the biggest jump that we've seen. He became the best. We're expecting him to be actually, before the season started, we thought he would just be like the number one rotational guy because you still had Harrison Phillips on this team. Comes in, ends up being not even a question, the best defensive lineman that we have, but it hasn't even, for a guy that's kind of more of what we thought is like more of a pass rushing type of dude. That's what he showed last year, which has came up. I think he has 5 sacks this year, something like that. But this game specifically that I was super impressed with is when it really mattered down the stretch. He got in the backfield and stopped 2 big runs like back to back. Like there was that one where he moved over the guy and he was just waiting for him. And it's so easy, especially for the Vikings this year, who's had a hard time tackling, to see like you're against a young a running back that can slip away or whatever. And Jalen Redmond just grabbed him and brought him down. So in this game, I guess I'll just answer this question on my side of things. I got to put my guy Dallas Turner and Jalen Redmond for 2 of the top 3 players in this game.
Oh, yeah.
If I was going to pick a third one, Andrew Van
Aaron
Ginkel,
Jones, maybe.
Andrew Van Ginkel had a lower PFF grade, but I think if I was going to say play of the game, it was Andrew Van Ginkel's sack on Caleb Williams. That was like 15 yards back or 10 yards back or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's hard for me. Will Reichert obviously didn't miss anything, but I'd probably have to give it to Andrew Van Ginkel on that, or even the entire offensive line, because even though JJ McCarthy was missing throws, he didn't get sacked once. He was upright all the time. I think that's something that's a little frustrating because, the argument earlier on was the pass rush is always in his face. Now I'm starting to think like, fuck, man, don't give this kid any fucking time. Don't give him any time to think. Let the pass rush come or run an up tempo. Probably should go with the latter, but still. So that's what I would say. The offensive line deserves a big W in this game. I thought they did a hell of a job there on offense in the run game and the pass game.
For sure. But yeah, overall with the defense, like again, I've been very impressed with how Flores has defended the last couple of weeks. Coming off of that game against the Chargers, I just think that this defense has just looked a lot more sound. There's still the big chunk plays, there's still the runs, but overall, I think that this defense has kept this team in position to win a lot of games. The offense, especially the last 2 weeks, just has not held up their fair share of the bargain. And again, we talked about the offense ad nauseum tonight, multiple reasons, as we all know. But yeah, the defense has been the reason why we've been in these last 2 games.
Yeah, and even like I know everybody's out on this, or a lot of people are, and this one does hurt 4 and 6. But man, you're like, yeah, Harry had a couple big plays actually, but you're like you just feel like, man, if you could get JJ McCarthy's accuracy go, like if we see any progression, like we can win some games here. Like that, but the Ravens game and Chicago game, like those felt like games you should have won is if your offense was doing anything. And there's talent there. Obviously last game, your quarterback wasn't hitting people, but it's just like, it's like our team has what it takes. Our team has it. They have the players. They have all of it. It's just the offense has just not been executing the way we need them to, even though the personnel is there outside of like the question mark everybody talked about was at the quarterback position and is proven to show that has been the issue and the impacts. I'm like, I don't know, all the people who are like, it's a team sport. Da da da. I was like, the quarterback's pretty fucking important.
Yeah. And this is what I was trying to say earlier. Just Gary put it in much better words than I did. Just better in the hurry up offense. JJ more comfortable, no time to mind fuck things. That's exactly what it is. I think when he has all those opportunities to drop back, the long developing plays, I think it's almost like he has too much time. He's overthinking everything and just missing the reads being laid on things like Dalton was saying earlier. And this is another thing too when you go back to the defense that I think is disappointing. And I don't know if it's just because he is being forced to play a more traditional safety role. And let's be real, Metellus was never like a stud safety. He's just a really good defensive weapon. I don't think that they're using him the way that he should be used.
Oh, the whole secondary
was really good in the run game. I will give him credit for that.
He had a couple big plays in the backfield. But,
But that's not why he's here.
Well, we paid him because he had 7 interceptions and he has 0 right now. So
to be fair, the entire defense has 2 interceptions.
Yeah, but we paid him specifically. Like you paid. Yeah. That's why I'm afraid of paying guys based off interceptions because only not a lot of players have continuously been able to keep up interception production. There's some people out there, but not a lot. Yeah. So that's the one thing with Byron Murphy, but he did. I would say he had a pretty solid game yesterday as well. Jay Ward, that's another name I want to bring up. Jay Ward really surprised me in the way we were using him, which was as a coming off the edge and just what's the word? I guess just a blitzer, but I don't know. I think there's another word for it. Anyways, just blitzing off of the edge. There was 2 plays. One, he got in the backfield, created havoc, which actually was really impressive because he created havoc on Caleb Williams, but was able to change direction once he realized it was a handoff to the running back, which was really good to see. Ultimately, he didn't realize that it was a botched snap, and he ended up kicking it. And, of course, with our fucking luck, we can't get nothing.
And then they pick up 19 yards.
And then they pick up 19 yards on the next one or whatever. But that was really nice to see from Jay Ward. And you can just see that speed from him and his ability to hit. So I want to see some more of that from Jay Ward. Yeah, obviously, he did it again. Just ultimately wasn't able to bring Caleb Williams down.
Yeah,
but that was
I think he's earned him. I think he earned himself a little bit more playing time over Theo Jackson after, and maybe even spelling Harrison Smith a little bit from time to time. I think he earned himself some playing time yesterday. Especially
at least I wasn't really paying attention how much coverage he did or whatever, but just seeing those are big plays. Like if you can get a guy who can get in the backfield like that and that quick, you gotta love those blitzing safeties. Obviously, we've seen a lot with Harrison Smith throughout his career. So big plus for Jay Ward as well. So positives wise, yeah, defense. Some of these players, our young guys, are starting to step up, man. And if Turner can turn a corner here, If Turner can turn a corner here. That's huge. Obviously, we're all excited, but man, I don't think there's anything that makes me as excited as seeing Redmond turn into something here, because I know me and we've been calling for a defensive interior guy for years, and of course, you get an undrafted guy from the XFL or whatever. So that's great. But
so at this point in the season, who are candidates to make the Pro Bowl? Dare we discuss All Pro? Let's hear it.
All Pro, no All Pros.
I guess no All Pro for me. Maybe. I mean, could Miles Price be up there for punt returning?
No, I don't know. I think without the penalties,
yeah,
probably. But I don't think so with them. I'm assuming there's someone else out there doing good, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I guess. Position wise, quarterback, no. Running back, no. Receiver, Justin Jefferson's going to be up there every year. Offensive line, no one on the offense really. Defensively, I think Redmond probably a little bit too not well known enough yet to really get in there.
I think he should have an argument for it.
Will Thrill, 100%, absolutely. Yeah, Will Reichard. Yeah,
and then maybe you could probably argue with Christian Darrisaw over there.
Yeah, Darrisaw.
Those kind of guys, but
Blake Cashman, I think, could be up there.
Maybe, but his injury.
I guess we're Vikings fans thinking about this from the outside perspective. You're probably not going to get a lot of, because they don't get sacks. You're not going to.
I would say Redmond's the only one. Redmond, and honestly, I think you could say Eric Wilson. I think
Eric Wilson is splashed.
He's low key. He's low key, but he's arguably been the most well-rounded defender so far.
Without the injury, as Van Ginkel hasn't been healthy enough to me to.
Yeah. Without the injury, but there's still time. This is saying right now, if Andrew Van Ginkel plays out the rest of the year, obviously that could change.
Yeah.
But Pro Bowl Jefferson, what's going on, T-Bass? Pro Bowl this year. Jefferson, obviously, it's not you're having quarterback issues all year long. He's still projected
But also,
like 1,300 yards this season,
the Pro Bowl. Let's be real. The Pro Bowl is a popularity contest, so
he could still get it.
Might find a way, especially with all the players that just don't.
And especially since T-Bass is here, especially since JJ McCarthy is going to turn everything around and probably give Justin Jefferson at least 100 yards every game for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. We'll T-Bass, you're gonna have to go back and watch.
Yeah, we dogged on the coaching.
I can't dog on JJ McCarthy anymore. I did enough of that earlier.
Yeah, but I guess going.
Let's go, Bob Sweet. See, this is the kind of energy I like. 11-6. Let's go. Yeah, that'll probably be the long.
He always finds a way in there.
Hey, he's a captain for a reason.
Yep, captain, long snapper, bagel guy, all of it. But yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of already hit on it a lot tonight. Like, I mean, season outlook from here on out, like the playoffs feel like a stretch is kind of whatever. But the playoffs are definitely seem to be out of the picture
I'm with
now.
You,
so
Frozen.
really,
the rest talent's there, bro. We should like the Bears and the Ravens. Those games that we could win. But
for sure. But yeah, I mean, really, like at the end of the day, the rest of the season comes down to
talking about, bro.
Like the rest of the season just comes down to McCarthy. I mean, look, they're not benching him. The rest of the season just comes down to his progression. And a lot of that comes down to O'Connell putting him in better spots at this point, because you know what he is, you know what he does well, you know what he doesn't do well. So it is up to the coach to use what plays you have available to put him in a much better spot, just to build that confidence and build that progression, and then start opening up the playbook as he shows you certain things along the road here. So to me, the rest of the season is all about seeing progression from JJ McCarthy. And look,
specifically in his accuracy.
It's
progression in his accuracy.
Right. It's not like, week 18 he's playing well. Like, it needs to start next week. Like, we need to start seeing positive things every week from here on out to just have some semblance of confidence in the kid going into the offseason and next season. And not even just the fan base, just the front office, to know we don't need to go get another. I mean, they will no matter what, I think, but we don't need to go get another high profile quarterback to compete with this kid. So the rest of the season just comes down to that. Like, how well can McCarthy take everything he's learned so far and the pressure on him now and just keep growing?
And we need to see that growth happen. We can't. I know there's some people who are like, just bench him this year, get rid of a mentor for him or whatever, all those kinds of things, and then maybe start him next year, whatever. It's like, no, you can't. First off, you need to see what you've gotten him. This rest of the season, you're going to see that. I don't see him getting benched unless he literally plays like he did last game for the rest of the season. Yeah. I just don't see that, and you're going to see that like when Casey's talking about like you need to see progression every week or whatever, it's like it just needs to be an upward slope. Like you're going to get some down games or whatever, but ultimately, like first starting with this one, obviously not an easy place, but for whatever fucking reason, JJ McCarthy likes to play away games in the division and hard areas or hard to play areas. But so we'll see, because this is going to be a hard one, but we do want to go in this one and hopefully see some progression in his accuracy. That's what it is. Accuracy. That's all I'm going to watch from him. I just want to see your accuracy.
Yeah. I mean, and if you have to bring another quarterback just to push him a little bit more, 100%. Yeah. 100% understand that. Don't bench him. KOCS has just just as much to learn about himself from seeing McCarthy on the field as McCarthy does. And that's fair as well. And that's been a gripe on O'Connell with all the quarterbacks we've had, especially with Josh Dobbs. Like, knowing what your quarterbacks do well and tailoring, and again, you're not asking him to throw his playbook out and rewrite it. That just doesn't happen. But you are asking him to use the plays he has available to play to your quarterback's strengths. And that is one thing I will say he hasn't shown to do nearly enough yet. Even Darnold last year, like the drop back passes when the offensive line isn't protecting. Like you gotta know when you gotta call certain plays. And we're not coaches here. Obviously, this is what we see. But if you want him to grow more steadily, you gotta put him in better spots.
Yeah, hopefully the best case scenario is Kevin O'Connell makes some improvements to create more up-tempo, fast-throwing slants in the middle of the field type of plays to cater to JJ McCarthy. And then we get two birds with one stone. We get Kevin O'Connell finally adding those to the playbook on a more consistent basis, and then JJ McCarthy getting a chance to grow there.
And I think this is a fair question. And I do think, and that's why I said, like, by the end of the season, you got to see that marketable progression. Because if you don't, then I do think there is going to be that push from ownership. Like, hey, fan base is restless. We have a stud receiver in Justin Jefferson. Like,
and we have paid guys, contracts,
something here.
I know for a fact, Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, they're talking to the Wilfs. I would say we've done a good job. You can say we've done a bad job with other things, but if there's been something that we've been good with so far, it's just acknowledging and understanding Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi's timeline as far as like the competitive rebuild and building contracts around things. And, we've been able to call like keeping Sam Darnold doesn't make any sense and all these type of things. We understand what they're doing. And that really is, everything is based around JJ McCarthy. It was rookie on a rookie contract. And I feel confident, and I don't even know for sure. I don't know for sure, but I really do think the Wilfs and everybody is on the same page where you're trying to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years.
Right.
That's it. Simple as that. That's what that was your goal. And part of this obviously has to do with JJ McCarthy's and his progression or lack of progression, which means, the closer we get to that third year, the more pressure it is going to be on everybody.
Though I do think if you're seeing a lot of the same stuff happen, like 4 games into next year and we have like 1 win, then you are going to start hearing things. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where the pressure is going to continue going. Like this year, I think everybody is JJ McCarthy's first year. I guarantee you the Wilfs, everybody understood that this year, maybe they're hoping he was going to be a little bit ahead than he is. But I think everybody understood like this was the year of getting your quarterback and progressing or whatever. But the next 2 years, as I have a hard time believing that, there's not going to be that pressure to not just compete, but to win a Super Bowl. Because we've been competing. It is like you need to win a Super Bowl or things could happen.
Yeah. And hey, at that point, T-Bass might get what he wants, a complete start over, rebuild, tear it down, rebuild, start over, which we're not there yet. But if things continue to go this way,
over and under draft position, I'm going to go over.
So you think we'll be picking like 13th or up?
We have hard games. That's the only thing. Like, that's a hard part is like with this year, it's like you can't even just be like, next week we're going against the Cardinals or something like that.
It's
just like,
Packers,
next week we're going
Seattle.
to Lambeau Field against the Packers or Seattle, or like we just got Lions, Baltimore. That
defense is tough.
So that's a hard part, but I say over. I think this team, I personally think, and this is me hoping, I think we're going to see progression from JJ McCarthy. Maybe nothing crazy. I just don't think he's going to be thrown like, I don't know. Like his accuracy has been bad, but it still felt like an off game from an accuracy standpoint because he hasn't been that inaccurate. Like that's like another level on his missed throws there. So I do think we're going to still win some games. I mean, at the end of the day, JJ McCarthy is what, 2-3 now? 2-3.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the one thing you can get from him is he seems to do well when it actually matters, which isn't completely optimal, but it definitely helps in the category of winning some games.
For sure. But I mean, I guess at the end of the reality is the reality. This team is 4-6. Gary, to your question earlier, 1-4 at home.
Yeah, that's tough.
The fan base that expected big things this year, I'm 100% frustrated, and I 100% understand. The only thing for me is just knowing what this year was, and that was the development of the quarterback, like we already said, and that's what I'm watching for the rest of the year. And that's kind of my finality on it at this point right now is just, I mean, the playoffs, it's a long stretch at this point, and it's just what can we do to put ourselves in a better position next year, and that main objective is going to be just seeing that growth out of McCarthy. And that's really all it is for me at this point.
Playoffs aren't impossible though.
They're not. But you always want to try to win games. And like you said, I think there's an opportunity for this team to do that. Because again, we've been in every game this year outside of Atlanta. Yeah. So like, I mean, I wouldn't be on the cusp of things, but it's just, again, but the main issue is just that efficiency on offense.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up being like pick 18 or pick 2. Like we're going to end up winning like 8 or 9. It's going to be one of those 8 or 9 win seasons still. Yeah. And then we don't make playoffs type of thing.
Yeah. But anything else?
That's it, man. Packers obviously will be on
Thursday.
Thursday. Packers game, it's a big one. I guess my biggest thing is just, I hope we see the progression in JJ McCarthy's accuracy. That's it. So moving forward here, progression to me is JJ McCarthy's accuracy. I think he's shown me a lot of other things outside of that I think he really does have. And if he's going to be the franchise quarterback, like Kevin O'Connell said, he's got the stuff. It's just, can he get the mechanics down? Can he get the accuracy down? I don't know. We'll find out. But
that's going to be a big part of it. Anyway,
go through the remainder of it. You just want us to
Thursday. We'll do that Thursday. Be
okay.
here Thursday.
We'll do that Thursday. Yeah, everybody get here Thursday.
For sure. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. As we said, we'll be on Thursday. Look forward to the Packers game. Have a great rest of your week. See you then.
Let's go Vikings.